Hello, everyone. As we know, we have been studying about the earth pressure chapter. So we have already started the earth pressures. So under the earth pressures, we have discussed what is the retaining structures, what is active earth pressures, passive earth pressures, pressure at rest. So these topics we have discussed in the last lecture. So today we shall talk about Rankine theory, active earth pressures. So we can see active earth pressure Rankine theory. Rankine developed his theory of lateral earth pressures when the backfill consists of dry cohesionless soil. We have already discussed that what is earth pressures, what is backfill, right? The fill behind the retaining wall is called as backfill. We have discussed already. So what he has said, he has developed the different formula, different equations for the lateral earth pressures when the backfill is dry cohesionless soil. And his theory was later extended by Reshal and Bell to be applicable for the cohesive soil. So Rankine has given some assumptions. What are the assumptions? The soil mass is semi-infinite, homogeneous, dry, and cohesionless. The ground surface is plane, which may be horizontal or inclined. What does it mean? Plane means the top of the top surface will be the plane. It should not be undulating, right? It should be plane. It may be horizontal or maybe the inclined also. That means the backfill may be inclined or horizontal. That is the meaning of the plane, we can say. The backfill of the wall is vertical and smooth, right? The back of the wall. The back of the wall is vertical and smooth. In other words, there are no shearing stresses between the wall and the soil. That means, see, the back of the wall is smooth and vertical. So if it is smooth, so what he has said in his assumption, that it does not have shear stresses in between the wall and the soil. That means whatever the soil is available behind the retaining wall as a big backfill material does not have any shear stresses because it is a plane, it is a smooth, we can say. And the stress relationship for any element adjacent to the wall is the same as for an other element far away from the wall. That means he has considered that there is no shearing stresses behind the retaining wall as the wall is a smooth. What is the next assumptions? The soil element is in a state of plastic equilibrium, that is at the verge of failure. So as we have discussed in the last lecture, the active state and passive state. Active state means away from the field and passive state means towards the field. So when it is going to occur, unless the soil is not going to come under the plastic state, the failure will not take place, right? The soil element is in the state of plastic equilibrium. So this is also one of the assumptions given by the Rankine. Rankine has discussed about different cases of the cohesionless backfill. What are the cases? What are the different conditions? We shall discuss one by one. The first condition is dry or moist backfill with no surcharge. Second is the submerged backfill. Third is the backfill with informed surcharge. Fourth is the backfill with sloping surface. And fifth is the inclined back and surcharge. You can see that all these 5 cases we shall discuss one by one, right? So let us talk about the first case, The first case is the dry or moist backfill with no surcharge. So let us say, consider a element, soil element behind the retaining wall. This is the backfill materials, and definitely the backfill material is the cohesionally soil. So when you are going to consider a soil element at depth Z, right, what is going to happen? Here, sigma V is the sigma 1. It is the active. We are going to talk about the active state or active earth pressures. So sigma V is the sigma 1, sigma H is equal to sigma 3. And you can see here, alpha is nothing but it is the angle between the failure plane and the horizontal. So alpha is also equal to 45 plus 5 by 2. So horizontal pressure sigma H is then minimum principal stress. It will be the minimum principal stress, and the vertical pressure sigma V is the measured principal stress sigma 1, right? So from the stress relationship, which has been given by the Mohr-Coulomb equation, we have already studied in the last lecture. The Mohr-Coulomb equation says that sigma 1 is equal to sigma 3 tan square 45 plus 5 by 2 plus 2c tan 45 plus 5 by 2. So as we are discussing about the cohesionless soil, so C will be 0. So in that case, the equation will be sigma 1 is equal to sigma 3 tan square 45 plus 5 by 2. So what we have to do? Sigma 3 by sigma 1. Because we know the earth pressure coefficient is the horizontal, it is the ratio of the horizontal stress to the vertical stress. So sigma 3 is the sigma H, sigma 1 is the sigma V. So this value is going to become like 1 by tan square 45 by plus 5 by 2. So it will be equal to cot square 45 plus 5 by 2. So sigma H is nothing but lateral earth pressures PA, or sigma is the vertical pressure on the element gamma Z. So at depth Z, the pressure, vertical pressure will be gamma Z. So PA, lateral earth pressures, we can write Ka gamma Z at the base of the retaining wall. So gamma Z cot square 45 plus 5 by 2. This is the Ka, active earth pressure coefficient, which is equal to 1 minus sine phi by 1 plus sine phi. That also we have discussed in the first lectures. So you can see this, as I told you, that the pressure at the top will be 0, and at the bottom it will be Ka gamma H, right? And at the point of at depth Z, where we are going to consider a soil element, the pressure will be Ka gamma Z. So it is also written here, when Z is equal to 0, that means here at the crest, PA will be 0. And at Z H, the PA will be K gamma Z. So total pressure due to the backfill materials on the retaining wall will be equal to 1 by 2 K gamma H square. So for finding out the total pressure, this is the pressure distribution diagram, right? So either we can integrate from 0 to H, or directly we can find out the area of this triangle. So 1 by 2 Ka gamma H into height. So height is also H. So it will become 1 by 2 K gamma H square. And it will work at H by 3. So now we shall see the next case, which has been explained by the Rankins, the submerged backfill. So submerged, in this case, the sand field behind the retaining wall is fully submerged. See, there are two figures are here actually, the first figure and second figure. So we are going to discuss first about the first figure. In the next slide, we shall talk about this figure, right? So what I'm going to say here, the soil behind the retaining wall, this is the retaining wall, the line, it is a line diagram. So behind the retaining wall, the soil is fully submerged. So how we can calculate the lateral earth pressures? So the two pressures are going to work on this retaining wall. One is the pressure due to the submerged weight of the soil, right? K gamma dash H. And another is the lateral pressure due to the water. So both are going to work on this retaining wall. So at any depth Z below the surface, at any depth, at any element, soil element we can take and we can calculate the lateral earth pressures, which is equal to K gamma dash Z plus gamma WZ. So at the base of the retaining wall, that means when Z is going to become H, so the pressure will be K gamma dash H plus gamma WH. So this is the first figure we have discussed about the first figure. Now, suppose if the free water extends to both sides, if the water is this is the retaining wall. Here it has been shown by the line diagram, right? So if the water table exists on both the side of the retaining wall, this side and this side, that means we are not going to, this is going to be balanced to each other, water pressures. So this pressure we are not going to take. So what is written here? The water pressure need not be considered, and the net lateral pressures will be PA will be at the base of the retaining wall, K gamma dash H. Here K gamma dash H will be there because the water pressures is also on this side and on the right hand side also. So these are going to balance together, and that's why it is not going to be considered. Now we shall see the next topic under the submerged backfill. The next point, here also two figures are there. So one by one we shall discuss. So first we shall talk about the first figure A. We can see if it is the backfill is partly submerged, that means it is, you can see the figure, the water table is here. So this wall is fully submerged up to the depth S2 and above H1, it is the moist. So lateral earth pressures, how we can calculate? The lateral earth pressure due to the moist soil, K gamma H1, which and plus due to the submerged weight of soil, pressure due to the submerged weight of soil, K gamma dash S2. Actually, this will be dash. Actually, dash is not there, but dash should be there. Gamma dash. This is because K gamma dash S2, and then water pressures. So we can calculate the earth pressures for the partly submerged backfill by this formula, right? The above expression is on the assumption that the value of phi is the same for the moist as well as the submerged soil. What I'm trying to say here, the phi above the water table and below the water table is same. Phi means angle of shearing resistance. And we are talking about the first figure. Now we shall talk about the second figure. We can see about the figure B, what is going to happen. Suppose above the water table, the angle of shearing resistance is different, right? Here the phi 1 and the phi 2. You can see below the water table, the angle of shearing resistance of the cohesionless wall is the phi 2, and above the water table it is phi 1. So if it is different, say phi 1 and phi 2 respectively, the earth pressure coefficient K1 and K2 for both the portion will be different. And you can also calculate Ka, as we know, Ka is equal to 1 minus sine phi by 1 plus sine phi. So phi decreases, that means you are going to consider, suppose you are going to consider phi 30 degree. In that case, the K will be more. If you are going to use the phi is equal to 45 degree, the K will be less than the 30 degree. So that means phi decreases, K increases. Since phi 2 is less than phi 1, phi 2 is less than phi 1, therefore K2, the K2, that is the earth pressure coefficient for this partly submerged area, right, will be greater than Ka1. So therefore, at the water table here, a slight but sudden increase of pressures should be expected depending upon the difference in the value of active earth pressure coefficient. See, K2 for this zone, K2 is more and K compared to the Ka1 for this zone. So what is going to happen? There is a sudden increase in pressures, right? So you can see the diagram here. At the base of the retaining wall, the total pressure is going to become K2 gamma H1. You can see it is complete. It is the pressure is going to increase here. Here Ka gamma Ka1 gamma H1, but you can see this part is extending here. So pressure is going to increase once you are going to consider at the base of the retaining wall. So it is also written here. Therefore, at the water table, a slight but sudden increase of pressure should be expected depending upon the difference in the value of active earth pressure coefficient, which is the Ka2 and Ka1. So Ka1 gamma H1 becomes K2 gamma H1 at the base. So lateral earth pressures at the base of the retaining wall, we can calculate K2 gamma H1 plus K2 gamma dash S2 plus gamma W S2. Like that we can calculate. So now we shall talk about the next cases given by the Rankins. The next case is backfill with uniform surcharge. We can see there are three figures, figure A, B, C. We shall talk about all the figures. So what it says, the extra loading carried by a retaining structure is known as surcharge. See, this is the retaining wall, which has been shown by the line diagram. So on the top of the retaining wall, behind the retaining wall, the surcharge load is there. So this surcharge may be a uniform load, like from roadway or from the stacked goods. Suppose this side's roadway is there, or some stacked goods are there, or a line load. Suppose railway lines are there. That means trains running parallel to the surface, right? Or isolated footing is constructed on this top of the backfill area, like column footing. So this will be considered as a surcharge. If the backfill is horizontal and carries a surcharge of uniform intensity Q per unit area, the vertical pressure increment at any depth Z will increase by Q, right? So at any depth Z, here the pressure is going to increase by Q only. At any depth, vertical pressure increment, at any depth, it will be the Q only. So what will be the lateral earth pressures? The Q into Ka. So increase in lateral earth pressures due to this will be Kaq. Hence the lateral pressure at any depth Z is given by Pa K gamma Z plus Kaq at any depth Z. Here we can also, the lateral pressure we can write like this way. So at the base of the retaining wall, the pressure intensity K is equal to K gamma H plus Kaq. So you can see the figure A and figure B shows the two alternatives. So you can draw the diagrams like this way, K gamma H and Kaq. Kaq also you can draw like this way. It is just in the form of a rectangle. Or you can, the figure B also you can, in place of this figure, you can also draw these figures, right? So two alternatives are there. So let us talk about the third figure also. The uniform surcharge Q is also considered to have been converted into an equivalent height ZD of the backfill. What I'm trying to say here, the surcharge Q is there. So this surcharge can be also converted as the equivalent height of ZD, right? This surcharge is going to work in the form of a triangle, you can see, up to the height ZD. So the height of fill ZD equivalent to the uniform surcharge intensity is given by relation Ka gamma ZD is equal to Kaq. That means this is the dotted line triangle you can see. As I told you, the ZD is the equivalent height we can consider for the surcharge load. So if you are going to take the pressure at the bottom of this triangle, it will be K gamma ZD, which will be equal to Kaq. So what we can write, ZD is equal to Q by gamma. So Pa is equal to, at the bottom of the, how we can write the Pa, or what will the values of lateral earth pressure at the bottom of the retaining wall in the, for the third figure, we can write like this way. Let us see. So as we know, PA is equal to Ka gamma H plus KQ. So we can take the common Ka gamma into H plus Qy gamma. So Ka gamma Z plus He. You can see this third figure, Ka gamma Ze plus H. So this will be, this value PA will be for the third figures. So this is all about our today topic. So we have discussed 3 cases. The remaining cases we shall discuss in the next lecture. Thank you very much.